My mother loved to bake. She would always make the best pies and cookies and all kinds of delicious treats. They always had the right amount of chocolate, sugar, or nuts in them. They had a taste that everybody's sweet tooth craved. Whenever someone asked her what she put in her baking to make the taste so great, she would always reply with a secretive smile on her face, it's our secret ingredient." Then she would ruffle my hair or pat me on the back. I would always help her with her baking. I remember when I first helped her. I was 4 or 5 years old. My mother was preparing all the ingredients and told me to wash my hands before touching anything. Then she said, "Hold out your right hand." Of course, at the time, I didn't know the difference between left and right, so I held out the wrong hand. "Other hand," my mother said, frowning, so I switched hands. "Good. A little trick to remember which hand is left is to hold up your index finger and your thumb. See? Makes the letter L. The word left starts with the letter L. Now put up your right hand." I checked to see that which hand was left or which one was right. "Over the bowl." "Good. Now face it so the palm is upwards." I did what she said. "Wait here a moment." My mother turned around and began rummaging through one of the clipboards that contained all the silverware. She turned around, I saw a bright flash and felt something sharp slice my hand. I let out a shriek as a bright red line appeared across my palm. My mother quickly grabbed my arm and squeezed a few drops out into the bowl. I stood completely frozen, tears leaking out the corner of my eyes. My mother crouched down and wiped away my tears from her thumb. "Shh, it's okay. It's just a tiny cut. It won't kill you. Mommy just needs your blood to make the cookies taste better. I promise that it'll be better by tomorrow. Okay, sweetheart?" I nodded. We continued to make cookies after that. I admit, they tasted pretty damn good after we finished. After that, whenever I would bake with my mother, she would always ask me to hold my right hand over the bowl, palm facing upwards, cut along the newly formed scar, and squeeze at least 3 drops of blood into it. But one day, when I was 11 or 12, my mother said that a couple of drops wouldn't make her special cake sweet enough. So, she told me to place my left arm on the table and cut a small chunk out of it. It hurt a lot, and I screamed and cried. When my father got home and saw the blood-stained bandage wrapped around my arm, my mother said that I had tripped and bashed it against a sharp corner on the sidewalk. Soon, even chunks of my skin wasn't enough for her, and she went as far as cutting off flesh that covered my ribs. That was when my father started getting suspicious. By the time I was 16, I barely had any muscle on my left arm. The scar over my right was so deep I had to keep a bandage over on it the entire day so it wouldn't bleed everywhere. And you could also see my ribs. She would always tend to my wounds, of course, dressing them and then even bandaging them up. My father eventually caught her trying to cut off my thumbs, and she ended up being put into a mental asylum for the criminally insane, or something similar. Eventually time went by and I met a nice man, we got married, and had 3 kids, 2 boys and a little girl. I enjoy baking lots, but my cakes don't seem to have the flavor I'm looking for. They almost need to be sweeter. A young girl is playing in her bedroom when she hears her mother call to her from the kitchen. As she's running through the hallway, the door to the cupboard under the stairs opens, and a hand reaches out and pulls her in. It's her mother. She whispers to her child, "Don't go into the kitchen. I heard it too."